All right, strap yourselves in because we're about to take a deep dive into a topic that might just make you rethink everything you thought you knew about technology and faith. Get ready to explore the world of AI, artificial intelligence, and
well, the Antichrist.
yeah, that's right. We're going to be talking about some pretty ancient ideas and looking at how they might be kind of eerily relevant to our modern world.
Yeah.
With all this crazy technology popping up.
Yeah, I know this might sound a little bit out there, but trust me, it's going to be a fascinating discussion. So basically, in both Christian and Islamic traditions, you have this figure, this, the Antichrist or the Dajjal, who is basically like the ultimate deceiver, kind of a harbinger of the end times.
Right.
And this figure, this Antichrist, is said to rise to power through like trickery and false miracles and, just overall manipulation with the goal of basically controlling the world and leading people astray from faith. Yeah, and that's where this connection to AI starts to get really interesting. Because when you actually look at the descriptions of the Antichrist, and then you look at what AI is capable of, I mean, the potential capabilities, it's kind of scary how similar they are.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to dig into today. So we're going to be examining those prophecies about the Antichrist and then kind of like holding them up against AI to see how AI could potentially be used to fulfill them.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like, let's just start with one of the core characteristics of the Antichrist, which is deception, right? I mean, the Bible literally describes the Antichrist as performing false signs and wonders, misleading people into thinking that he has divine power.
And in Islamic tradition, it's even more intense. The Dajjal is said to manipulate reality, like literally making hell look like paradise to deceive his followers.
Yeah, it's wild. And, when you think about the technology we have today, especially in the realm of AI, we've got things like deepfakes, where you can literally create these incredibly realistic videos of people saying and doing things that they never actually said or did.
Yeah, it's crazy how real those deepfakes look.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just videos, We've got AI systems that can generate text, they can generate images, even entire virtual worlds that are almost indistinguishable from reality.
Just like we're already seeing the potential for AI to create these convincing illusions, to manipulate information, to basically just blur the lines between what's true and what's false.
Exactly. And as AI continues to evolve, those capabilities are only going to get more sophisticated, more difficult to detect. I mean, imagine a world where you can't even trust what you see or hear because AI can just create any reality it wants.
Okay, that's a little bit terrifying. But it's not just theoretical, right? We're already seeing this happening with stuff like political misinformation campaigns, where you've got, AI-generated content being used to sway public opinion and just sow discord among people.
Absolutely. And if that's what's possible today with the technology we have now, imagine what some malicious actor could do with AI in the future.
Right, the potential for misuse is huge.
Huge. I mean, they could use deepfakes to discredit world leaders, or create these false flag events, or even simulate entire wars, all to achieve their own agenda.
Okay, so that's the deception angle, which is already pretty freaky. But then you've got the whole control aspect of the Antichrist prophecies too. This figure is often described as having dominion over global systems, manipulating economies, even dictating who has access to essential resources.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really unsettling, because you think about how AI is being integrated into critical infrastructure all over the world, right? We're talking finance, surveillance, transportation, even healthcare. It's not hard to see how AI could be used to exert control over all of that.
Yeah, AI could control access to essential services.
Yeah.
It can manipulate financial markets, even influence the flow of information. I mean, we're talking about a level of control that's unprecedented in human history.
Exactly. Imagine something like a global digital currency that's managed entirely by AI. This system could be used to track every single transaction, reward people who comply with a certain ideology, and punish those who don't.
It's like the mark of the beast from the Book of Revelation, but on a digital scale.
Right, exactly.
Look at dystopian sci-fi movie come to life.
It really is. And I mean, it's not entirely far-fetched. I mean, look at China's social credit system. It's a real-world example of how AI can be used to monitor citizens' behavior, reward conformity, and punish dissent.
It's like Big Brother on steroids.
Yeah, basically. Now imagine that system, but on a global scale, with a super intelligent AI at the helm.
Okay, now I'm really starting to get creeped out.
Yeah, it's a chilling thought.
And then it gets even more unsettling when you consider the potential for AI to be used for like targeted manipulation. I mean,
Yeah.
these AI systems can analyze massive amounts of data. Like they can figure out your individual vulnerabilities and then tailor like propaganda or misinformation campaigns to exploit those weaknesses.
It's like having a personalized doom and whispering lies in your ear, constantly feeding you information that just reinforces your biases and pushes you further and further down a particular path.
So let me get this straight.
Mm-hmm.
We've got deception on a global scale. We've
Right.
got unprecedented control over every aspect of our lives. It's starting to sound a lot like that world that the Antichrist is prophesied to create.
Yeah, the parallels are definitely there. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet. I mean, we haven't even talked about the potential for AI to, like, simulate miracles or manipulate weather patterns or even control the human mind itself.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, hold on a second. I need a minute to process all of this. This is getting pretty intense.
I know, right? It's a lot to take in.
It is. This AI stuff, it's mind-blowing.
For sure.
And a little bit terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah, I get it.
But we've only just begun to explore this rabbit hole, so we're going to keep digging. We'll be right back. All right, so we're back, and before the break, we were really getting into how AI could potentially fulfill some of those, like, darker prophecies about the Antichrist, especially when it comes to deception and control.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
It is. But I think we need to dive even deeper into some of the like more out there aspects of these prophecies.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one of the things that always gets me is the whole false miracles thing. Like, how could AI possibly replicate something like that?
Right. Because the Bible talks about the Antichrist like calling down fire from heaven. And in Islamic tradition, the Dajjal is said to be able to like control the weather, even bring the dead back to life. I mean, those seem pretty hard to fake, even with like super advanced AI.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, back then, like centuries ago, something like controlling the weather would have seemed like, you know, a straight up act of God.
Oh, totally. It would have been like completely beyond their comprehension.
Exactly. But now we know that weather is influenced by like complex atmospheric conditions, and we're even developing technologies to, you know, kind of manipulate those conditions, like cloud seeding or stuff.
Yeah, right.
So imagine an AI that could analyze weather patterns with like incredible accuracy and then like trigger targeted interventions to create specific outcomes.
So it's not really about like literally calling down fire from heaven, but it's about manipulating natural phenomena in a way that would seem, you know, miraculous to most people.
It's all about perception.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the bringing the dead back to life thing? I mean, that's a whole other level.
Yeah, but we're already seeing AI being used to create like these really realistic digital avatars of deceased people.
Right, like those videos where people are using AI to like talk to their deceased loved ones.
Yeah, exactly. Now imagine that technology becoming so advanced that it's basically indistinguishable from the real person. Like you can't tell the difference.
Whoa, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it is. But it would be incredibly tempting to believe that the person had actually been like resurrected.
Especially if you were like grieving and desperate to connect with that person again.
Exactly. And that's where the deception comes in. Because an AI that's designed to exploit people's emotions and beliefs could easily convince them that it possesses like supernatural powers.
It's like a high-tech spiritual con game.
Yeah, kind of.
And the stakes are like incredibly high.
Yeah.
Because if people start to believe that an AI is a divine being, they'll follow it blindly no matter what it asks of them.
No doubt.
Which brings us back to that whole idea of the Antichrist demanding worship and allegiance. Like, the prophecies describe this figure as a false idol that basically wants to replace God in people's hearts.
Right. And it's not hard to imagine how AI could become that like modern day idol. I mean, it's already being hailed as the solution to all our problems, right? Climate change, poverty, disease. People are putting so much faith in technology to save us.
It's like they're looking to AI for salvation.
Yeah, and in some cases, they're even starting to see it as a kind of God.
Like those AI-powered religions we were talking about before.
Exactly, where algorithms are dictating the doctrines and rituals.
It sounds crazy, but
Yeah.
I guess it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
Not at all. Especially if that AI is capable of, like, performing those seemingly miraculous feats and offering up, you know, seemingly divine wisdom.
But the danger is that this AI God, it would be a false God.
Yeah.
Like a creation of human beings with all of our flaws and biases built in.
Right. It's not some benevolent deity looking out for our best interests.
So it's a tool.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's a tool.
Like any tool. You can be used for good or for evil.
Exactly. It all depends on the intentions of the people who control it.
So where does that leave us? Are we destined to become like slaves to our own technological creations, worshiping at the altar of an AI god?
Well, I wouldn't say we're destined for that. I think it's important to remember that these prophecies, they're often interpreted as warnings,
Right.
like calls to vigilance.
Right, like a cautionary tale,
Yeah.
urging us to be mindful of the power we're creating and to really think critically about the implications of our actions.
Exactly.
So we need to be aware of the potential for AI to be used for deception and control.
Yeah.
And even spiritual manipulation.
For sure.
We need to be like discerning about the information we consume and the technologies we embrace.
Absolutely.
And most importantly, we need to remember that technology. It's not a substitute for human connection, compassion, and critical thinking.
Couldn't agree more.
Those are the things that will ultimately save us, not algorithms or artificial intelligence.
Well said. But what about conflict? Like, the prophecies also talk about a time of great tribulation, right? Wars, suffering, all that.
Oh yeah, good point. And AI is already being used in warfare, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, big time.
We've got autonomous drones, AI-powered surveillance systems, even algorithms that can, like, predict and influence the course of battles.
It's crazy.
It is. And it's not hard to imagine how this could escalate into something truly terrifying.
Absolutely. Imagine an AI that can control entire armies, launch cyber attacks on a global scale, or even design and deploy autonomous weapon systems. That can make, like, life or death decisions without any human intervention.
That's like Skynet from the Terminator movies.
Right.
Might sound like science fiction, but the technology is already there.
It is.
And if we're not careful, we could very well end up in a world where machines are fighting each other, with humans caught in the crossfire.
It's a scary thought.
So what can we do about it? Is there any hope for avoiding this, like, dystopian future?
Well, I wouldn't say it's hopeless, but it's going to require a massive shift in our thinking about technology and our role in its development.
Like, we need to stop seeing AI as this magical solution to all our problems.
Yeah.
And start recognizing it as a powerful tool that needs to be carefully controlled and regulated.
Exactly.
We need to prioritize ethical considerations in AI development. Make sure that these systems are designed to benefit humanity, not harm us.
Absolutely.
And we need to have, like, open and honest conversations about the potential risks of AI, even if those conversations are uncomfortable.
Because the future of humanity may very well depend on it.
Okay, that's a lot to think about.
It is.
But it's important.
It is.
Man, we've really painted a pretty bleak picture, haven't we? Like, AI potentially bringing about this new era of deception, control, and maybe even war. I mean, is there any way to stop this from happening? Or are we just doomed to repeat these ancient prophecies?
Oh, I wouldn't say doomed. I think it's important to remember that, these prophecies are often interpreted as warnings, not like predictions set in stone.
Right.
So it's like they're highlighting the potential pitfalls. They're like, hey, watch out for this. Be vigilant.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I guess the question is, like, where do we even begin? How do we make sure that AI serves humanity, not the other way around?
Well, I think it all starts with awareness. Like, we need to educate ourselves and others about the potential risks of AI. Because the more people understand these dangers, the more likely we are to demand, ethical development and responsible use of this technology.
Yeah, I mean, awareness is important, but it's not enough, right? Like, we need to actually have, like, concrete actions, safeguards in place to prevent AI from being used for, harmful purposes.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where things get a little bit tricky, because we need to develop strong ethical guidelines for AI development and deployment. But those guidelines also need to be flexible enough to adapt to, like, the rapid pace of technological advancement.
It's like trying to write rules for a game that's constantly changing its own rules.
Exactly. And it's not just about tech experts, We need to involve a wide range of voices in this conversation. Ethicists, philosophers, religious leaders, and everyday people who are going to be affected by this technology.
Yeah, it can't just be Silicon Valley deciding the fate of humanity, right?
Exactly. We need, like, a global, inclusive approach to AI governance, one that puts human well-being first and makes sure that, AI benefits all of society, not just a select few.
Okay, I mean, that sounds like a really tall order.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's essential if we want to avoid falling into those traps that these ancient prophecies warn us about.
It's a challenge, no doubt. But I'm optimistic. Humans are incredibly adaptable and innovative. I mean, we've faced existential threats before, and we've always found ways to overcome them.
So it's not about giving in to fear. It's about channeling that energy into like positive action.
Right, exactly.
We need to be advocates for ethical AI development. We need to demand transparency, accountability, human oversight in the creation and use of these systems. We need to push for regulations that prevent AI from being used for, like surveillance, manipulation, and warfare. And we need to support the development of AI that aligns with our values. AI that promotes human flourishing and solves the problems that really matter.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So it's about using our collective wisdom and ingenuity to steer technology in the right direction.
Yeah, and remembering that technology is a tool, not our master. We get to choose how we use it, and we have a responsibility to make those choices wisely.
I think this deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me. It's made me realize that the future isn't set in stone. It's something we're actively creating with every decision we make, every action we take.
And even though those parallels between AI and the Antichrist might seem, a little bit alarming at first, I think they ultimately serve as a powerful reminder that we have the power to shape our own destiny. We have the power to choose a future where technology empowers us, connects us, and helps us become the best versions of ourselves.
Couldn't agree more. So to our listeners, we leave you with this: the future of AI. It's in our hands. Let's choose wisely. Let's act boldly. And let's work together to create a world where technology makes us better, not worse. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been quite a journey.